go out and do shoots in like Bellingham and Yakima and Southern Oregon and stuff, and it's just like, you know, yeah,
we don't even have a car.
Yeah, we don't have a car.
Or a camera.
Yeah, or a camera. So, you know, we need some help. We have a really good story, and we need some money so we can fucking make the movie. But I think this story in particular
is a good story. It's, you know.
Why do you think it's a good story?
Because I matter.
Yeah.
Because they matter.
Yeah.
Welcome to the first episode of Am I? Artists Make Independent, a show where I talk to independent artists about the work they are doing in our community. I'm your host, Stephen Anunson, and on this episode, I was drawn by filmmaker Elliot Graney-Sauke. Today, we are speaking with Elliot and Sebastian Rain, two storytellers who have invested the past 8 years in collecting interviews with boy-identified individuals who have spent time as inmates in women's prisons in Washington State.
I went to prison 3 different times. I mean, total probably I've done incarcerated like 8.5 years.
There's only a handful of really queer people on the inside.
Thank you both for being here. Can you start off by telling me your names and how you're involved with the film Boys on the Inside?
My name is Elliot Graney-Sauke, and I'm the director-producer for Boys on the Inside.
I'm Sebastian. I'm the main character co-producer. So I met Elliot when I was incarcerated in 2005, I think it was. She came in. We had some kind of like rapport. Then when I got out in 2007, I started working with the program, Keeping the Faith, the Prison Project, probably a year later, so in 2009. And during that time, Elliot was talking to me about making this film about, you know, boy-identified females in the Washington State prisons, you know, so I thought it was kind of cool.
It was also like the way that it was like, oh, they had these certain names, there were certain codes and different things. It was just like,
it's a holy place. It's like a universe within, you know.
Yeah.
Everything's different, you know. We don't get out much.
Why do you think it's important for people to hear these stories? What is the value of these stories?
It's giving us a platform so we can have a voice and, you know, not feel powerless anymore. Being trans in prison or just gay in prison, you know, it's not something that's really talked about. It's like you're a predator, like instantly right off jump. Because I look boyish, I act boyish, you know, I'm a predator. And, you know, if you hang out with somebody longer than 3 days, you know, then you have a red flag that you guys are in a relationship, and then they start watching you with cameras, you know, it's nobody, I mean, it's just not right. It's not right. I'm no different than anybody else. Orange is the new black. I mean, some of it's real, but, you know, the majority of it's not. But, I mean, I think real stories should be told. I think that people that are incarcerated are treated very poorly. You know, I made a mistake. I'm not a bad person. You know, we all make mistakes. I got caught. You know, and I paid my dues. I did what I was supposed to do. I changed.
But the actual content of the film is about like really having a compassionate and open-minded and hearted like look at like who are the people who are actually affected by this, instead of always having an academic or I don't know, like intellectual approach to it. When it becomes those people and there's not those relationships there, I want it to be something that's really that like anybody who watches it can have like an emotional, compassionate response to being like, wow, like that's really hard stuff, and like all of that together, like how wouldn't you end up in a bad situation? Some people are like being set up to fail.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the people featured in your film?
Yeah, so originally it was gonna be Sebastian and Tamalisa and Sarah. So those are the 3 people I interviewed. Sarah is somebody who I've been following for a long time. We were corresponding when she was locked up. I know that the project means something to her because she knows that like people are gonna witness her story, and that, you know, like having that, like having people that are gonna listen, like she's expressed to me that means a lot to her.
Christina, she is also Hispanic, and her father was a pastor. So she had a really rough time coming out, and, you know, it probably led her to going to prison or drinking or do whatever she had to do to accept what she was going through. They're really struggling and having a hard time and staying out, and they keep going back in. Well, because you broke everybody's trust. So trust is a huge thing, you know, and then for the rest of your life, you have to like prove yourself to people, and it gets tiring.
I think everyone in the film is really, really strong, like have survived.
And we've all done a lot of time.
Yeah.
We're
done a lot of time, but survived a lot. A lot of abuse, a lot of like violence, a lot of, you know, like survived like using tons of drugs. I mean, you know, just kind of like
domestic violence, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So you've been working on the film for 8 years. Can you talk about the importance of the project taking place over a longer period of time and what you've learned from the process?
For me, the reason I'm making a film about people who have been incarcerated, and especially like queer folks, like because I'm also, you know, because as being a queer person making this film, like I feel very protective of the people in the film, and I really want to make sure that they have a positive experience and that it has some kind of positive impact for people. And I think that if I had made it as a short and used that footage and put that out 5 years later, people would be like, oh, like actually, like I don't like this, because like now with time to reflect. So I feel like the project is in a space right now where it's maturing in a way that's really exciting. You know, like having people more involved, like, and I feel like the conversations with people who are in the film giving feedback on how they want to be represented, I think it took some people like 7 years to get to the point where they actually understood that they were in a film and what that meant. And, you know, where they were in a place where they kind of like were able to reflect on that and take ownership. And step into like their power, like, and talk about how they want to be presented. I
think 8 years ago, a lot of us were just freshly out too.
Yes.
You know, so we didn't really have a grip on life. You know, we were just going through it. You know, like going in the store, we're freaking out. You know, so when you're fresh out, there's a lot going on. You know, you got a lot of things that you have to do, very little resources, and I think that over the 8 years that we've all grown and we've got stable and established, and you know, it's important to show, you know, that part, and then us as we grow and become stable and we're stable in life. And even it's a fucked up place, but in the end it's turning out good.
Can you talk about how people can get involved with supporting this project?
So we're running a crowdfunding campaign for the month of August for $35,000. So there'll be, you know, a lot of community engagement happening in the month of August, including like a launch party, drag king show, and a panel discussion featuring different folks from the local community who are involved in prison activism and arts and queerness and, you know, creating dialogue. So in order to complete the film, I don't know.
Yeah,
we need money.
Money issues.
Yeah, I think an important thing for funders to also recognize is that investing in this project is not just about finishing funds. It's about giving support to a project and a story so it can be put into a polished form. I don't know if you could say an investment in cultural capital. Like the money to get there is the thing, and then after that, the impact, the community engagement, the educational outreach, like all of that stuff is just going to bloom out of that.
I love that in a way you are showing the power a film can have before you have even finished making it. You are helping create a space for dialogue about some very important issues and focusing on voices that are often underrepresented in the conversation. What do you want audiences to take from this film?
Honesty, heartache, success, failure, love.
Survival.
Sorrow, you know, regret.
Humor. It's gonna be fucking funny.
Funny, some of it. You might cry.
My goal would be that the film is complicated and powerful, and you really feel a strong connection and understanding of like who people are, like that you get a sense of like their personality, their spirit, what drives them, like kind of their humor, you know what I mean? That this like the person who they are with all the other stuff. That to me is like my goal as a storyteller and a filmmaker.
Thank you for joining me for the first episode of Am I? Artists Make Independent. Each episode will feature an independent artist and their vision of my interview with them. Please see the links below to learn more about how to support Boys on the Inside.
seen how like the boys get taken care of, you know, and it's just like, you know, all the women cater to these, you know, women that look like boys. And so, I mean, I don't know, it just seemed appropriate that after a while, I mean, that would be the role that I fell into.
I had it harder inside because I was more boyish.
The correction officer definitely give the boys more shit.
I'd tell the officers I was gay and I didn't really care. But that's like a big no-no inside there. You know, you can't be anything but what they want you to be.
Like, you know, when you do a substantial amount of time, prison becomes your life. Like, nothing outside that gate or that fence or the razor wire, nothing outside exists to you.